What up? What up? What up? What is up, good people? Welcome to another episode of the Blue Collar Basis podcast. If we haven't met yet, my name is Ted and I talk bass. My passion in this life is to help bass players of all levels, skills, and abilities navigate this world of what I like to call the blue collar bass player. And I can, let me switch cameras here for a second. There we go. What's up, MJ Morgan? Good to see you. Man, we're going to talk about some stuff today. I got to make sure I'm looking at the right camera or whatever. We're going to talk about some good stuff today. I'm just like moving some tech around and things like that. Why don't you go on and shout out, follow MJ Morgan's lead and let me know where you're watching from. We got MJ Morgan watching from New York City. New York City. What's up, Tiny? What is up? So look, let's just jump right into it. You know, I talk about the blue collar musician, the blue collar bass player quite a bit. I use that term quite a bit, and I want to, dive into a little bit about what is that? What does that mean? Well, the blue collar, we're gonna start there. The blue collar musician is, you might be a hobbyist. You might be I noticed my camera is out of sync, so I apologize for that. Guys, we know we do what we do, and we make it do what it do, however it's going to do it. But, you might be a hobbyist. You might be a weekend warrior. You might be an aspiring pro or a pro musician who isn't a household name. You might even be an absolute beginner. And the whole point is the blue-collar musician puts on that hard hat and goes out there and just, does the gig, whatever the gig is. It could be a function gig. It could be, a gig at a bar. It could be a gig on tour, whatever. You know what I mean? One thing I know about function gigs, and, if you're not familiar with the term function gig, that's what they usually say over in the UK. I like that term because it encompasses all these things, right? All these different functions, if you will. They are always a source of stress relief. Well, let me back up. They're not always a source of stress relief. There's always some good side money. You know what I mean? It's typically fun to do. People are typically having a good time. And so, but it is, it is work. And the work aspect is one of the things that we're going to talk about today. And the main topic today is learning a lot of songs. How do you learn a lot of songs? What's up, Charles Ray Long, checking in from Tampa, Florida. We've all had that call where it's like, you get a gig in a week and you got 20 or more songs that you have to learn, right? Leave it in the chat if you are in that situation right now, or if you've been in that situation where you have a bunch of songs that you need to learn. And the panic that comes along with that. I used to be, one of those people that take me forever to learn a set of music. Also, I forgot to mention, this podcast is being brought to you by my Synth Bass for Bass Players course. You can find that at learnsynthbass.com. Can't believe I forgot about that. Let's see, we got a comment down here. I'll only play Valerie or Mr. Brightside if they serve me a big fat steak. Okay. All right. Here's the secret. Here's the secret to learning songs. I'm going to go on and tell you, Baseline Project, what's good? What's happening with you? Good to see you. This is the secret, right? I'm going to save it for you right now. I'm going to share it with you right now. You gotta learn the songs before you need to learn them, right? Now, MJ Morgan brings up a good point. Right now we're talking about cover tunes. There are, those times when you need to learn original songs. I'm doing a thing on Halloween. Right now it's all original music. There are a couple of covers with some big arrangements in them, but I've got my Songmaster Pro. I'm making my charts and all that stuff. Those things you have to prepare, a little bit more in advance. But for learning cover tunes, the key is to learn them before you need to learn them. In your practice time, while you're practicing your scales, your modes, and all those things. Those things, in my opinion, are, I might get in trouble for saying this, they're almost secondary, right? Why do I say that? There is no child on earth, doesn't matter what country they're in, that waits until they go to school to start, to learn grammar rules before they start having conversations, right? Some of that stuff you pick up, on the road, as it were. Now, having said that, when you're practicing whatever technique or theory concept, you got to throw in some songs as well. Well, how do I know what songs to learn? I got something for you, and it is down in the description of this video. I have made a Spotify playlist that, and I'm going to be adding to this, right? I'm going to be adding to this as songs come to mind. Some songs were coming to mind just today. But in 20 some odd years of doing function gigs, I have come across these songs a million times. Every band around the country is going to play these songs, right? So it's about 200 songs on this playlist. You can get it in the description of this video, of this live stream. Just click that link. It's going to take you somewhere. Do the thing and start learning those songs, right? Don't learn them all at one time, right? You're not going to learn 200 songs at one time, but pick out 2 or 3 a week that you're going to learn and be familiar with. Also, I should mention that practice is going to sometimes just be listening to songs. So this might be a playlist that you put on while you're at work. You know what I'm saying? You can put it on while you're in the car, things of that nature. I know that most of the people that are into my podcast or into my channel are adult folks. You got kids, you got partners, you got responsibilities. You don't have all day to just sit around learning no tunes. So put the playlist. You'd be surprised at how many of these things stick in your head. Also, you start finding connections between the songs. Let me read this comment here real quick. Did 30 songs for a last minute fill in one day last week. I tried the app you recommended, Songmaster. Prefer DJ Pro for the quick stem separation and loop functionality. Nothing beats Songmaster Pro, man. I don't know this app that you're talking about, but I guarantee you that nothing beats Songmaster Pro. But having said that, to each his own. You use whatever works for you, right? I am a big fan of Songmaster Pro. So, I also created a video not too long ago that is linked in the description of this video as well, showing, here's a song pool. Here's how you can take those songs, put them into another platform, and turn them into a Spotify playlist on your own. Now, I don't know what part I want to get into this, but there's a part that I definitely want to touch, and it's going to be on the onus is going to go on to the band leaders, and so my boy Excellent asked me today about using iPads and charts on stage. Listen. If you're anything like me, you're getting older. I can't retain everything. I know a lot of songs, and then some of the more modern songs that aren't played so much by, let's say, you might be in a band that's middle-aged folks. They're not necessarily going to play all of the newer stuff. So some of that newer stuff I don't play as often, and I may need to use a chart. I do not have a problem with an iPad on stage. If people in the band are using iPads, I think that's fine, with some discretion, right? But your ears still have to work. You still have to kind of be heads up. And so develop that skill to be able to look at the chart and then look around to see what's going on in the ensemble, because sometimes you just have to listen with your eyes. Let me read some comments here. Had to learn 12 songs a week, 5 hours of practice every day. So listen, were they original tunes or were they cover tunes? Right? Because you should not have to practice 5 hours a day for cover tunes. Another benefit of having a playlist is that you can just sit there with your bass, your guitar, your keyboard, whatever, and just shuffle that thing and say, which one of these songs can I play? There are tunes. Oh man, there's one that just came up recently. I don't play often, but I have played it before. It's that Shania Twain tune, "Man, I Feel Like a Woman." Y'all know what song I'm talking about, right? That song is like one of those tunes that doesn't play itself. It sounds really simple on the surface, but it definitely does not it does not play itself. Cover tunes in a party band. Yeah, man. Yeah, you shouldn't. So we want to get you to the point where you don't have to practice for 5 hours a day for no party band, right? We want to get you to the point where you're not having to think about that, where you can just show up, right? Anywhere. And I'm not saying this to brag on myself or nothing like that. I just been doing it a long time. All right. I would walk into any party band situation anywhere in the country and not sweat at all. I mean, not at all. And it only comes from repetition, but then realizing, hey, I better start learning some of these tunes before I need to know them. I'm not saying that like I'll be making some mistakes. That is not at all what I'm talking about. So for those of you who are just joining, I need to say, welcome. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the share button. If you think there's somebody that need to be in here, this is for all blue collar musicians, guitar players, singers, bass players, drummers, whatever. You know what I mean? This is what you need to do. Ted, any tips on how to develop a good ear so that you can play songs when they are suddenly called on stage and you either never played it or never heard it before? Fantastic question. Let me see if I could dig out a nugget or two for you. Shapes in that world are your friend, right? Realizing that learning the sections, right? Learning the song as a whole, being able to differentiate the verses from the chorus, from the bridge, things like that. And just, recognizing common song forms, common like root movements, you know what I mean? Most songs are going to move in fourths. So like when you go to that bridge, let's say you're playing a song that's in A, typically the bridge is going to go to the fourth, right? Which would be D, things like that. As I think of some other stuff, I'll let you know as I think about it. This is dusty brain happening here. So I love the questions. So keep those questions coming. bass lines and grooves. I'm trying to think, when was the last time there was a song? It's been a while. It's been a while. It's been a while since I had one that really threw me. If it's if it's just a chord progression and the bass does, and there's not like a distinct bass line, then I'm just gonna use that natural ability, not natural, that learned ability to recognize those common chord progressions and song forms to get through that. If it's what's that song? There's a song that even that. There's a song called "Haters" that's played a lot here. It's like a Zydeco tune that I can't hum it, but I can play it. Like I can visualize it on my neck, right? I know the first chord is minor, and I know that the lick that it does, I'm like, I already see that in my mind's eye. I see how to play that, even without having my bass in my hand. Charles Ray Long, so talking shapes, you're not a stickler for... Absolutely not. That is such a good question, Charles Ray Long. Here's the thing, man. That's something that we get caught up in as well when we're talking about the cover band or party band, function band world. Yes, there are lines that you are going to need to know. You're going to need to know the spirit of that line. You're going to need to know good times is what it is, right? You got to know that, right? But am I going to play it the same way that Bernard Edwards or Chip Sheeran played it? No. But I'm going to play that line, and I'm also going to put in my own stuff as well, right? But the line, that line is there. Sometimes we'll get into, there are songs that have like little nuances, like in Rock With You by Michael Jackson, in the second verse, right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. In the second verse, like that's gotta be there. You know what I'm saying? That has to be there, because it's such a signature. And most bands nowadays are going to, everybody in the band's going to play it. And a lot of people will go, on the record it's, but a lot of younger bands are playing, bump, 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 right? But other times you might be trying to learn like a real intricate thing, and it's cool to learn that if you're going to glean some vocabulary out of it, right? But at the end of the day, nobody on the dance floor is going to hear it or even care. Now, this is a fine line. This is a fine line I'm talking about. You have to have the essence of whatever the bass line or guitar part. Ooh, here's the one I talk about all the time. Sweet Thing for guitar players. That's got to be there. That is a part. Yearning for Your Love. That's got to be there. It's got to be there. If it ain't there, it's not the line. That has to be there. Now, I know guys that do that line and then they flavor it up with their own thing. We don't want to be robots, right? But if you get hung up on like minutia, especially when you have to learn a ton of tunes, then you're typically, you're gonna get lost in the weeds. You're gonna lost the weeds. While I'm there, this just happened the other night. the song, and I just put up a tutorial for the bass line for "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey. Right, that's one of those bass lines. If that's one of those. If you're a beginner that's watching and you watch that tutorial and you get that bass line, everybody's gonna recognize. So recognizable, but there's a very subtle nuance. What's up, Stephen Bird? There's such a subtle nuance in that tune. And this goes back to like listening and watching, boom, da da dum, da da dum, da da dum, da dum, boom. It changes. I think it is a very deliberate thing that is on the recording. And the keyboard player was fantastic. He was fantastic, but he had, he was a last minute sub. And one of the things I was really trying to get him to do was like be eyes up and listen. And at one point I told him to lay out and just listen so he could hear what I was doing, what was going on there. So we weren't clashing, especially when you got the bass player and the keyboard player playing in the left hand. So great question there. Now, as far as let's go into band leader land. Some of y'all have experienced this probably. Let's talk about following the leader for a second. This is really on on singer. I point this a little bit at singers, right? There's got to be one point person giving the cues on the stage. Man, if nobody is the designated point person, I follow the singer. I watch the singer's cues, everything. At the end of the day, what I do, what I think most of us here do as bass players, if there are other rhythm section instruments in here right now, welcome. We are supporting a soloist. So the job is to make them shine, make them look good. So I got to follow whatever. If they miss a verse or if they miss a lyric, something else that happened the other night, we were playing Let's Stay Together. Now, I don't blame this brother for this. Brother's 20-something years old. He probably don't know. Let's Stay Together. There's a bridge section in Let's Stay Together. And a lot of people miss it. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Y'all know what I'm talking about? And so the band wanted to go there. I could see the band wanting to go there, but he missed it. So what do? We don't bulldoze the singer for our own gratification, right? We gotta let them do their thing and catch up to where they are. The guitar part on Gonna Have a Funky Good Time. It's a pretty defined part. It's a pretty defined part. I want to hear more stories from you guys. I'm loving these stories that I'm seeing down in the chat. So I want to hear more gig stories. But for those of you who are just joining, the big secret is you gotta learn the songs before you gotta learn the songs. To help you do that, if you look in the description of this video if you're listening on the podcast, somewhere in the description of this podcast, there will be a link to a Spotify playlist. About 200 songs so far. And these songs are songs that in my years of playing in function bands, these songs are always going to be on somebody's list. There are some rarities in there as well, but they on that list. Working man's music. You know what I'm saying? Stephen Bird, yes. Al Green. So that's the big secret. Also, if you want to make your own playlist, there's an accompanying video that is linked as well in the description showing you how I would go about putting that together. Tiny, what's that you say about the MD? When in doubt, when in doubt, layout. This is not so applicable for bass players because we don't always get. And goes along with the story I was telling about last weekend, where the keyboard player he was fantastic. This guy was fantastic, and he absolutely killed the gig. He killed the gig. But there were some times when he was playing and I was like, yo, that's, like he was like playing like some egregiously wrong shit. And I'm like, hey, chill out. Cause I got you. Just, I know you're going to get it, but that happens to all of us, right? And sometimes we just got to take a breath and let me read this. Charles Ray Long is very active today. Hey, man, where my super chats at? I got 30 people on here. I ain't got no super chats yet. I got 15 likes and 30 people. Y'all hurting my feelings, man. I'm giving up all this game, and y'all hurting my feelings. You must put the time. Yeah, I mean, you do have to put the time in. But that's why I made that playlist. So if you don't want to just put the time in arbitrarily. And I should say this as well. That some of these songs are going to be songs that you don't like, right? But that's not really the point, because there's going to be value in most of them, and there's value in learning the songs anyway, and just building that muscle of learning songs, right? Charles Ray Long, solos. Our MD likes to call out random solos on different tunes. How do you handle that? Okay. My boy Cam, if you guys saw last week's video, pre-recorded podcast episode, bass players, we get caught up a lot in the whole solo thing. Now, if you're talking about you taking a solo, man, a lot of times that's just playing the groove. Cam was saying, bass players get hung up a lot on taking solos. And, he was so eloquent. You got to go watch that video. But you could just hold a groove. Boogie Oogie Oogie. Let me tell you, I used to love Boogie Oogie Oogie. I hate that song with such a passion. Like it made me want to break out in hives. And the singer asked me, because I was subbing, and the singer asked me, she said, do you know Boogie Oogie Oogie is real bass heavy? And I was like, I wanted to ask her, who the hell have you been playing with? Like, who doesn't know Boogie Oogie Oogie? But folk be wanting you to play like a 10-minute bass solo when they come to the point, listen to my bass. Yeah. I be wanting to keep that short. And a lot of times I just play the groove with some extra little spices on it. You know what I'm saying? But nothing crazy. But what saves you there, Charles, is knowing where you are in the song, right? You got to be familiar with the tune. And if you are reading a chart, be prepared to go off script. And when I say off script, it's not going completely left. It's going, yo, we're going to vamp this one part, right? For however long while people get solos. And if you don't want a solo, sometimes somebody might look at you and be like, you want one? And just be like, don't make a big deal out of it. Are y'all still talking about the bridge for Let's Stay Together? Y'all still talking about that? Somebody's got another comment here. Kapanga, I don't want to butcher your name. Often guitarists start backing a singer transposing to a different keys and it becomes a skill before they go on stage. Bassists are often focused on groove and learning the harmony and song form. I mean, that's our role, though, right? We have to provide a solid foundation. But to that point about transposing, you know, it's just the first one that comes to mind. Deja Vu by Beyonce. I think is in G. I think the regular thing, the recording key, Lord have mercy. It's in G. It starts with boom 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 boom. Anyway, the singer I'm playing with on Saturday, she wants to do it in F. Right? Now, it's helpful to know that ahead of time, right? But like, take grooves and move them around. If you haven't watched, I got a video on using the Barney Miller theme. Using that as an etude, moving that around the circle of fifths. You could take any groove and just, if I move that here, right? What key am I in? If I move that there, what key am I in? So, especially you 5-stringers too. You know what I mean? Charles Ray Long with the $10 super chat. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all ought to take a page out of Charles Ray Long's book. Let's see. Excellent says, what about iPads, charts on the bandstands, no rehearsal plus 20 songs? Okay, so I touched on this earlier. I don't have a problem. Me personally, I'm going to use an iPad from time to time. I'm going to do it. But I'm going to do it in as discreet a way as possible, right? I'm not going to bring a big music stand or anything. I'll show you this thing here. Got one of these guys, right? And clip that on a mic stand. Often I'm singing as well, singing some backups as well. So I'll, just have that, on a stand. I don't have a problem with it if it is discreet. But the big but on that is you can't be staring at the thing all night long. You know what I'm saying? You can't stare at it all night long. So my point, excellent, are they cover tunes or are they original tunes? Covers or originals? Let me know. And also, let me say this. This is an important thing. This is hell of important. I learned this. I heard a brother say this in San Francisco one time, and it has stuck with me ever since. One person's lack of preparedness is not my crisis. Let me say that again. One person's lack of preparation is not my crisis. So, if I get a call for a gig, I'm going to sub a gig or whatever, I might know the songs, I might not. Depends on what you plan, right? It depends on what you plan. I can get through a lot of stuff. But if you're calling in a last minute sub, like to his credit, like the keyboard player that I played with on this past weekend, he was a last minute call. And all things considered, he killed it. You know what I mean? So nobody can really throw a fit when he doesn't know something, right? Also, one of my favorite saying is, I know the songs that you gave me on a set list. If you gave me a list, I know those songs, right? Or I have a way to get through those songs. Because there's a difference between knowing a song and being able to get through a song. There's a difference. If it wasn't on a list, then you get what you get and you don't throw a fit, right? That's just, 2 day leave. But Wayne's like, I got 2 gigs like that Saturday and Sunday. But are they covers or are they originals? Are they covers or originals? God, I hate Boogie Oogie Oogie. Sometimes, I haven't run into that. I haven't run into a space where an MD didn't want charts on stage. Especially if you're the bass player, you in the back, nobody's gonna see you or whatever. Now I'm gonna tell you what kills me, and I'm starting to see this with younger people quite a bit, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I can complain about some shit. I don't like seeing no singer with no phone in their hand. If you got a phone on a mic stand on a stage and you have to flip over because there's a lot of lyrics and stuff, and who can remember all that stuff? That's one thing. Ooh, I'm born here. I learned all songs in closed position first. That's game. That's game right there. Hey, I'm born here. I ought to send you a super chat. That is game. Why? Because if they're in closed positions, it's easier to move them around. And if you're using some open strings, if you're using that B, E, A, D, or G, then you gotta maybe look at how you can play those things closed. I'm going to agree and also disagree with the number system. I do not believe that the number system helps you transpose as much as you might think. It does. It does. It does. I want to say something. The older I get, man, the more I'm just like, do I just say stuff? But I had a drummer yelling out some numbers to me just recently, and they were wrong. They were flat out wrong. And I was like, first of all, you're not leading this show. I didn't say any of this, but first of all, you're not leading this show. Second of all, that shit's wrong, what you're saying, right? And why are you saying it? I'm still paying back student loans on a goddamn degree in music. If you're gonna say it, be right. I'm being a jerk. I know I'm being a jerk. Trading Only says, I hate that I missed the beginning of this live. Let's see. You guys are lighting up the comments today. I love it. What often happens is when I'm learning a song is skipping to the next section before I'm supposed to, only because I'm not sure of how long a particular section may last. So they were talking about knowing the whole song. Right? A lot of times we get caught up in learning the bass line, not learning the whole song. What's the song talking about? There's where the value of listening go. If you're just joining, there's a playlist in the description of this video where you can get my Spotify playlist, 200 some odd songs. Put it on and start listening. Right? Put it on and start listening. Also, this podcast episode is brought to you by learnsynthbase.com. You'll walk away from that thing knowing about 12 classic synth bass tunes, synth bass lines. You can grab that. If you use the code GROOVE, all caps, you get 20% off. Playing with a known gospel artist on Sunday, no music on stage. You got some shedding to do. You got some shedding to do. Listen, everybody's got their system. I am in no position to tell a person what works for me is law. And whatever works for you got to work. At the end of the day, you got to be out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to be at your gunfight, you know? So I said, with the drummer calling out numbers, and he was like in middle school. Listen, there are a lot of very capable, I know some very, well-rounded, educated drummers. And I've been guilty of this. The shit I talk, man, I've been guilty of some of this myself. If you're not the band leader, then you got to go on let the leader lead, right? And I don't know, man. I'm not always like real good with it. Recent experience, we were to play "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" by Shania Twain, and when we got the band leader, hello from Brazil. What's going on, Brazil? When we got to the everybody set up and we got to the sound check, and the band leader wants to run "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" because this was a special request, and the drummer said, "What's that?" I said, "Oh, we are screwed. This is not going to happen." He was calling on his anointing. Not going to happen. And the reason I know that is because I haven't played that song a lot, but I've played it enough to know that as simple as it sounds, it got some weird stuff in it. Like, for instance, the B section, where our Western ears want to hear 8 measures, is only 7. So we wound up not playing the song that night. What are you going to do? The pay's still the same. The pay was still the same. And the people who hired the band were happy. So I guess you've heard, trust me, excellent, you've heard that song. Trust and believe you've heard that song. You guys are so lighting the chat up so much, man. I got off the my little slide deck joint I had there. That's why I'm looking all over the place. But just to recap, for function bands, party bands, when I say function, I'm talking all kind of functions. The best thing you could do right now is go to the description of this video. Hello from Italy. Man, we got y'all coming from all over the world tonight. All over the world. Listen, if y'all haven't subscribed to the channel, go and hit that subscribe button. There's a link to a playlist. You need to know those songs. Gone. MJ Morgan with the super chat. Whoop, whoop. I don't know what that was. Whoop, whoop. I don't know what that was. Check it. Download. Get the link below. Hit the link. Get the playlist and just start listening. While you're practicing all your other stuff, learn a song or two. And you know I got buku song tutorials on this channel as well. So, Mutland. I'm not repeating what you just wrote in the chat. I'm not repeating that. It's a good song. Man, I Feel Like a Woman is actually a pretty good song. It ain't something that I'm going to just, you know, be listening to. But it's a good song. It's a fun tune. Mississippi. What part of Mississippi? You know, my people come from Mississippi now. What part of Mississippi you watching from? When learning tunes, do you only listen to the original? Oh, that's a good question. Charles Ray Long, that's a good question. That's a good question. So, there are times when I will absolutely go to a live version. I will go check out different versions. Let me tell you why I don't particularly care for playing the song Kiss. I did this in a video for No Trouble years ago. But I hate playing Kiss almost as much as I hate playing Boogie Oogie Oogie. Let's talk about it. So, somebody said, what's a super chat? Somebody said, what's a super chat? If you go down to the chat box, you can leave a love offering, if you will. Fleece and Excellent, can you help them out with the super chat, please? So, the song, Meridian, yes indeed. I got people from Centerville, from Corinth. Anyway, so Kiss is one of those songs that it just seems like everybody takes, this is the chance for everybody to do like all of their funk cliches. And it just sounds like a hot ass mess most of the time, right? At the end of the day, if I'm not a beer drinker, but yes, coffees. It just always sounds like super messy. But there are so many different dope live renditions of Prince playing Kiss. When I was MDing over in Thailand, we played Kiss, but we played the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction arrangement, right? That musicology era arrangement, right? Starts off with the Soul Man intro and then goes into the tune, but is a boom, ding, 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 ding. The playlist is going to be in the description of this video. You will find a link, and you click that link, and it'll take you to that playlist. Mississippi in the house. Y'all not that far from me. I had something else on that lines about listening to different versions. Oh, while I'm at it. Now, y'all can share this with your singer friends or your band leader friends. This is something that really irks the shit out of me. I've said that word a lot, and I apologize for cussing so much tonight. But, you know, sometimes you get a snap, you know, a group together, and you got cats that have just been playing, and their arrangements of songs have, like, you know, gelled and worked out or whatever. And then they call a sub. And then somebody gets pissy because the sub doesn't know like their special arrangement of song X, Y, or Z. Well, again, this is for the band leaders, right? Recording gear is cheap these days. I still have one of those old Zoom recorders, one of the silver ones, right? That thing records so good in a small space. I mean, in a small package. It's about as big as this pedal is. One day I'm going to talk about this pedal. I can't talk about it yet. You don't even see it. I've had it forever, but I just found out this pedal does some really cool shit. in a loud space. That's what I meant. A loud space. It records very, very good. And if you have special arrangements that you've worked out over time, record those. Send those to your, you got a sub. Hey, this is our arrangement of whoop-de-whoop. Learn this. Be specific, right? Thank you for the super chat. I'm loving y'all today. Thank you for the super chat. I can keep the lights on, y'all. Let me see. I'm losing it. I like Kiss with bass too. I do. But I don't like it when it's all corny. You know what I'm saying? And too many times, especially because I'm such a big Prince fan, I do not like, everybody's got their cat. Prince is my cat. So whenever I'm like on a gig and the band proceeds to like butcher a Prince song, it really like a dove cries. That was so corny and also so good at the same time. Somebody needs to drop me a super chat just for that. That was good. That was good. If this whole YouTube thing doesn't work out, I go into comedy. Then I'll probably have to come back to YouTube because the comedy thing won't work out. Dude, the Zoom recorder, that little Zoom recorder, I'm not even talking about the one with the video. I'm talking about the one, like the first generation of that thing. I bought that in like 2008, right? I was recording everything, gigs, private bass lessons I was taking. Brandon, that was a good one. Huh? That was a good one. I did everything with that thing. Everything. 42 people here, 27 likes. Man, this is... All right. I'm not a comedian. Welcome, y'all. Welcome. We're talking about learning songs in advance. That's the key. You got to learn them long before... You got to learn them long before you have to learn them. There are going to be those situations where, like, I'm in a space right now learning songs or shedding songs for a Halloween gig. Now, a couple of things. I'm playing both electric bass and synth bass. And so, learnsynthbass.com. Get into that course. Now, there are some, there's some trickier lines that I have to, I got to shed a little bit more. I want to say something about synth bass and me for a second. Somebody, Jerry, let me look that up. I'll let you know if I find it. You can probably find one of those things on, eBay, hella cheap. But, so I picked up my Novation. The Zoom H2. Zoom H2. Now on Amazon, it is $399. I just completely screwed up that scene. Let's see. Anywho, but it's a great tool. And there's the Zoom H2N as well. But let me tell you real quick, I bought the yes, you did, MJ. I hope you're enjoying the course. Let's talk offline. I'd love to get your feedback, get what you like, what you don't like, what there needs to be more of, etc. I picked up this synth bass, I want to say in November, last November or something like that, November, December-ish. And it was only to play one or two songs on this 3-night-a-week gig that I had. And then I just was like, nah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to, every day I'm going to add a new tune. And now I'm playing synth bass all the time, right? So it just takes a little bit of you know, a little bit of focus, right? Ah, that's not very nice. Um, but you can give me money. I will happily accept money. Um, the Novation base station is not a toy, actually. Um, you you see these in a lot of professional settings, and they work just fine. I will upgrade to a Moog at some point. Freddie Jackson. You know what? I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna have to look that up. Um, Rock Me Tonight. I know that song. Um, yeah, man. Easier than you think, and it's really fun as well. I don't know what's going on with my video right now, but man, I've been loving the interaction tonight. I hope you guys have been digging the weekly podcast. Next week, we got Angeline Saris. If you don't know who she is, Google her. Angeline Saris, Saris. Tips on how to use riffs when backing up a preacher in a gospel setting. Honestly, I haven't played in that world in so long. So long. I would be remiss if I tried to give you any tips outside of listening, right? And learning where to be musically mature. I don't know that I don't mean for that to sound condescending or weird. What I mean by that is so often, so much more often than we think, less is more. And this makes this I'm going to sidestep on that just a little bit. Victor Wooten illustrated this so well about when people are soloing, and you could think about this, in terms of a preacher. You're having a conversation, right? And so some people do this so beautifully where someone is soloing and they will know how to add and subtract to elevate that person's solo, right? When to lay back, when to start building and things like that. And then sometimes, you kind of wonder, damn, do you hear that other person is soloing right now, right? I think this is Brazil here. There's a lot of prep work that can be done to learn songs before actually learning them. It involves, yep. Identifying intervals, like those big intervals, the fourths, fifths, thirds, major and minor thirds, sevenths, right? Major seven, flat seven. Being able to hear those. And not only just hear them, but where are they on the instrument, right? That's power tip. Oh, Artie. Oh, Artie. No, man, I don't believe in that at all. I don't believe in that at all. Once upon a time, people was like getting across the country in horse cover, what do they call them? Horse-drawn wagons or whatever. And now we got like cyber trucks and stuff. I'm going to use whatever technology I'm going to work smarter, not harder. Now, when you on a gig, you got to, them ears just got to work, right? And, but there's no shame in using software to learn music. I know a cat who would, really go down on that stuff. And I don't believe in that. Use what you got. Use what you got. Ladies and gentlemen, I have had a fantastic time today. If you are not subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? It don't cost you nothing. Like and subscribe to the channel, or I'm coming to your house. I'm not really going to come to your house. I'm just kidding. But I would like it if you subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the podcast. Tell somebody else about the podcast as well. All right? Go down there in the description. Grab the link for the playlist. And if you want to get synth bass into your bag, let me see you over at learnsynthbass.com. Use the code GROOVE, all caps, and you get 20% off. Did I say 20% off? I said 20% off. Y'all, it's been a fantastic evening. This replay will be up for a while, so check it out. And then it goes over to members only. If you, Artie, when you send me that Model D, I will play it. All right? As always, y'all, peace, two fingers. Thanks for hanging out tonight. I will see you next time.